Stacey the Blackfeather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacey style. And today we are doing another video in my sign language series that explores all of the astrology signs based on their characteristics. I choose cards from my own collection that embrace and embody those signs. And this is for all of my Pisces peeps, sun, moon, and rising. And it's also for those of you who have a Pisces in your life that you love. This is a great way to find some decks that maybe will resonate with them. And when you're pulling for them and pulling that information, these might be really cool decks to work with. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so Pisces energy. It's like the oldest sign of the astrology wheel. They have been around the block. They've incarnated 1,000,000,001 times. They're very much about the dreams, the Neptunian energy, they're a water sign, so they're very much in flow. They are deep, deep feelers. I would say Pisces and Scorpio kind of are, I want to say, vying for the top, who's the deeper feeler. And, Pisces deals with the psychology of things. It goes very, very dark. They're highly psychic, highly intuitive. And so the first deck that we're going with today, and I apologize, I don't have a box for it handy, but this is by Yasmin Westwood. And this is the Enchanted Dreams Tarot. And I chose this deck because it really does embody a lot of that Piscean energy. Piscean energy is the divine feminine in a lot of ways. It is, sort of ruled by the moon because it is a water sign. So moon energy is there, feelings and emotions. I also like this because it's a tarot deck, but they're larger cards. Like these are, I have big hands and it's the size of my hand. So, this deck would not be great for people with small hands. You'd have to, sort of hop on pop shuffle, which is what I always, like to say. For me, I can manage it. I just shuffle it in a different way. But let's take a look and see why I've chosen this particular deck. So first of all, I love that it's bigger than traditional tarot decks because, again, Pisces have been around for a while. They have a lot of inherent wisdom and knowledge. They understand a lot of things from a number of different perspectives. Oh, sorry, getting rid of the glare here. And so the larger card I feel is sort of symbolic of them holding their wisdom, how much wisdom they actually can contain. A lot of Pisceans feel a deep sense of purpose, understanding that, they're here for a bigger reason. Some Pisceans can really let loose and have a lot of fun, be in, just in the flow of life and the flow of universal energy. Other Pisceans can be extremely serious, getting lost in the feeling and the emotion. They love to explore the extremes of things, but they are dreamers. They're dreamers because they have seen it all, but they can always imagine what it is that they've seen in a completely different way. And the psychology of things, we'll talk about that with a different deck. But this card deck in particular, as you can see, has a lot of beautiful, dreamy-like coloring. It's fantastical imagery, but you still have real people. And I feel like that very much embodies a Piscean energy. They can be fantastical. They can be, I want to say airy-fairy and pie in the sky, but they also recognize that they are in this life, having this human experience. And they're all in with that, to one degree or another. They are all in. I also chose this not because, there are a lot of men who are Pisces as well. So I don't want to, discount men. But in this deck, you don't have men. The knights and the kings are represented by, the armor and the throne. But everything else is women. And so, again, it's representative of a deep understanding and a deep knowledge and respect and honoring of the divine feminine. And, it's just a beautiful deck, as you can see. There's a lot of information. I've had this deck for a number of years. I used to use this deck faithfully when I was still doing, I want to say a lot of client readings as well as readings for myself. I changed my format a little bit, and I don't use cards for all of my readings now, just certain sessions that you can book. But this was a mainstay for me. And, it's just super powerful. The messaging and the imagery speaks to the energy of what the card is all about. So, Pisceans, I feel, can really connect with deep conviction to something when they commit, when they fall in love, when they when they step into a person, a relationship, a community that they really feel a connection to or an affinity for. They're all in. And this deck is very much all in with the messages. You don't have to guess at what it's trying to tell you. It's very, very clear. And, the use of color, I think, is really, really significant here as well on a subconscious level. And, that's Piscean energy, the realm of the subconscious, going deep, doing the deep dive. So that is the Yasmin Westwood's The Enchanted Dreams Tarot. The second deck that I chose, and this feels a little more like the psychology of things. This is also, unfortunately, a deck that I do not have the box handy. This is the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum by James Voorhees. And I chose this deck. I got this. It was a Kickstarter campaign, but I ended up buying it through a kind of a private vendor kind of situation. First of all, I love that the card back is black. I mean, this, not saying, Piscean souls are, their souls are black and they're dark. No, but they do deal with a lot of the mystery of life, a lot of the unknown. Not to say that a Pisces person is without fear. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. It's not to say that a Pisces person is without fear, but again, from an energetic perspective, they have run into a lot. They come into this lifetime with a lot of that, Akashic record stuff. Things are at the surface. Their emotions are always at the surface, ready to go. And so they're not really afraid of fear. They will dive in, they will go on in. They're not excited about fear, just like any other of us. It's kind of like, okay, this isn't great, but I don't know that it necessarily is going to hold them back. So let's kind of take a peek here. First of all, this deck, and look, so black and white, the first one that we get. Now, this deck isn't typically black and white, but I think this is so funny that it's the first card that I pull out, and it's the World card. And what does it look like to us? It looks a little bit like a Fool's Journey card, right? The Fool card. And that's because Fool is the beginning of the major arcana, the Fool's Journey in the tarot, and the World is the end of the major arcana. The Fool has earned its stripes, right? The Fool has learned and gained wisdom and knowledge and experience, and is, getting ready to turn around infinity, to turn around and do it all over again. And I like the black and white, the duality of things, but also the extremes of things, because that is very Piscean. The use of color in this deck, they use saturated color in this deck. And it's very powerful in the messaging that it's conveying. It's a, black and white and then one solid color. And so it speaks to me of the chakra system. And, Pisces, like I said, from a psychological perspective, from a spiritual, they're deeply spiritual from a spiritual perspective. There is a component where they're trying to access the subconscious. They're trying to evoke something a little bit deeper within you. Pisces also have no problems cutting you out. You're dead to me. Once you've crossed that path, once there has been harm caused or challenge in that way, they're done. They just move along. They swim, and it can be it can be painful to be cut off and cut out from a Pisces energy, but also it is their defense mechanism, right? You think of the fish. The fish has to be able to swim away from danger at a moment's notice. So again, seeing the use of color, chakra system, getting to the the subtle layers, the layers that we don't see with our own two eyes, but we feel and we know are there. The psychology of this deck also, I feel, is really significant because each image causes you to think deeper, to really go into what is it that they're trying to convey. So this one here, this is the 10 of Wands. You've got a solid figure who is walking. There's no background information. It's just a person. And they're holding all of these wands, and these wands are splayed out evenly. This person has taken the time to make it look pretty, but maybe not so practical for carrying. And then you've got the pink in the background. Pink from a chakra perspective is self-love and self-care. So, this is the rewards and the burdens that go with it. Yeah, there's some self-care going on here. So you have to go a little bit deeper, right? These cards will subconsciously pick up different things in you. The Tower card, the color here is green. Green also is one half of the heart chakra, and that is healing, healer, healed. When you have a moment of oblivion, it usually indicates a moment of growth that is on the horizon, right? Because either you adapt or die. When something like this happens, you accept, it's radical acceptance of it is what it is, and you adapt and you move forward, or you stay stuck in this and you live a half life. It's also interesting in this deck that wands, he's chosen wands to be green rather than, fire sticks like we often think about. So there isn't conformity here. And if you know a Pisces in your life, there's no conformity with a Pisces. In fact, if they think that that's what everybody else wants them to do, they're likely going to do the exact opposite. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So, there's very much, I want to say, that energy with this particular deck as well. Wow, so many reversed in this deck. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't read reversals. So loving the colors too. This is the 9 of Pentacles. She's enjoying the fruits of her labor, eating the grapes. She worked hard to provide an environment for those grapes to grow. And now she's getting a chance to enjoy them and savor them. So yeah, this deck, I feel, really embodies kind of the psychology and the makeup, the mental makeup of a Piscean energy, full of color, full of life, but the extremes. So they're not going to be like the rainbow of colors. They're going to, give you one solid color at a time, right? Or they might give you the extreme. You're being shown this, but then you're also being shown that. And there are only two choices with a Pisces. Like I said, once you hit a Pisces limit, you're dead to them, and there's no going back. They're very clear. They're very clear about that. So yes, this is the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum by James Voorhees. And very unexpected deck for me, but fantastic when we are talking about that Piscean energy. And you know what I forgot to say at the beginning of the video, this is for all Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And for those of you who have a Pisces in your life that you love, this is the video for you. Mystic, Augur, and Sage is the next video that I've chosen, the next card deck that I've chosen. And this is by Kelly Burton. This has been out for a couple of years, but it's a new deck to me. I just discovered it. I didn't know it existed until a few months ago. And wow, is this deck ever really incredible. So I also I just realized this. I chose it for its attributes, but I'm looking at it now and it's all green. And I often attribute the color green to a Pisces. I contribute blue to the Cancers, green to the Pisces. This is just Stacy association. So I don't know if there is, my cohort, Dwayne from In the Stars, he knows all of the different color associations with the signs astrologically. So we could ask him, but I just realized I picked this and it's just all green as well. And so that very much is representative of Piscean energy for me. Absolutely gorgeous deck. We have beautiful gilding here, a green background. We've got a dragonfly, and I also associate dragonflies and dragonfly energy with Piscean energy because Pisces They're all about the water, but they can also, pop their heads up. And, when we talk about dragonfly, they can live in the land and the sea, and on, and in the air, they fly. So they're very adaptable. They're very flexible in their approach to life. And in many ways, that is something that a Pisces energy needs to grow into. Like I said, they can be very black and white. They can be very focused on the extremes. And so, this is a planet of duality, so they do well in those ways. But this planet also encourages us to learn how to live in the gray areas. And that is, I feel like this deck helps people to do that in general, but especially Pisces, because that doesn't come easily to Pisces. Yes, they can adapt, they can be flexible, but they prefer to kind of live in the extremes when their emotions have been triggered. And so I want to say it's always a bit of a dance for the Pisces. So you see here, symbolic reference, the figurehead. I chose this deck to represent Pisces because of the wisdom, the mystic, augur, and sage. Pisces people tend to be sages. They tend to just have a lot of wisdom. They're the type of personality that people are drawn to share their wisdom and information. And this deck does a lot of that. I want to say it's a higher frequency deck. It is an intellectual deck as well. And you're dealing with the muse, ethos, Metatron. It's a deck where if you don't know what all of these words mean just off the top of your head, the Gnostic, you've got to go to the book in order to get the information, right? So it's a heady deck. It's informative. It's very deeply spiritual. The warrior within. It's a collage deck, which also I feel is very Piscean, that they're complicated, right? There are a lot of different layers to a Pisces. And this deck is very layered in its imagery. Spiritual allies, the chrysalis. The colors in here are gorgeous, even though this is not an ocean-themed deck or a sea-themed deck. I see these colors as being the types of colors that you see when you're underwater and you're doing some snorkeling or you're doing some scuba diving. I mean, these are the beautiful colors of the tropics of the ocean, or the ocean of the tropics, sorry. It also has 3 of these extra sort of cards, which I think are really interesting. The augur gathers insight by looking for signs in nature and the cosmos. They are in tune with the life force of everything and use intuition to understand auspicious messages. When the augur appears, the skill you should develop is intuition and observations as clues to better understand the challenges in your life. I would say to you, every Pisces is an augur because they're all about the intuition. They're highly intuitive individuals and they sense danger right away. Dangers are coming, I got to get out of the way. Or, if you're dealing with some of the human things of life and trying to break out of ancestral wounding or patterns or whatever, you sense it and you go against your judgment, your intuition, your instinct, and you stay until you no longer stay, right? So again, Pisces, sometimes when they make the choice, they're all in and they literally go all in. They enjoy the experience of feeling. A lot of Pisces, they are born on this planet, or they're incarnated onto this planet because they like the contrast of being able to feel the extremes. Super, 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 super happy, unbelievable joy, incredible excitement, but also the deepest depths of despair, rage like you wouldn't believe, the external expression of pain. There's a lot that comes up. Here's the sage. The sage possesses the stories and secrets of the ages. They study ancient texts and preserve the oral histories that have been passed down through the generations. You are invited to explore books and legends, using them as metaphors for your dilemma. So definitely this is, I want to say, a Piscean approach to everything. And here's the mystic. We'll read this too. The mystic engages in magic and honors the power of ritual as a means to influence their surroundings. When the mystic appears, you are encouraged to alter your actions and strengthen your capacity to influence the outcome of a situation. I mean, this is very, I don't know if Kelly Burton is a Pisces, but this, I feel very much was developed with a lot of Piscean influence, a lot of Piscean energy. So highly recommend this. If you are a Pisces, or if you have a Pisces in your life that you love and you want to understand them a bit more, you get this deck and you do readings for them, and you're literally going to blow them away. It's really, really incredible. Okay, and our final selection for this video is Wisdom of the Raven, an oracle deck. This is a fairly new deck to me, and this is by J. Edward Neal, I believe is the name. And I chose this deck because this Wisdom of the Raven, it's a darker deck, so it does kind of explore, again, the psychology, the fact that a Piscean energy does not have, kind of like, Scorpio, does not have a problem diving into the deep. The challenge with the Pisces is sometimes they don't come back. Sometimes they there's a lot of like madness, mental illness, is the Piscean sign, right? Or the Piscean sign is the sign for mental illness. And so, not to say that ravens and dark stuff is, automatically Piscean, but there is this element of a Pisces personality going into the deep, and because of the extreme of things, they go into the shadow work, and sometimes they get really lost in the shadow. Or in the case of Piscean empaths, you can get lost in someone else's shadow and you lose your sense of identity. You can kind of be a chameleon and morph into another's energy before you've even recognized that that's what's happening. Loving this deck as well because it's got like a single keyword, morning, guardian. And Pisces, I wouldn't say are, again, they're not simple creatures. They're very, very complex, but they appreciate, I want to say, an overarching theme. They appreciate an umbrella word, a key word that embodies, reflective. Yeah, I am feeling reflective. I'm feeling reflective in this way in my life, and I'm feeling reflective in this way. And oh, by the way, I'm also experiencing that over here. And you can add this over there because that's how I'm feeling. And oh my God, I'm just feeling it all. So I feel like the single key word also kind of helps with, I want to say, a Piscean process to life, duality. Also, the colors in this deck, you're having a lot of the gray and the black being represented here. And then you've got these pops of color that are very stark, very clear what they're talking about, guidance. So we're seeing a lot of red here. Well, red is root chakra. So I feel like, when we're talking about guidance energy, it's guidance in terms of what are you rooting yourself into? Is this guidance fake? Is this guidance true? Is this guidance really going to give you the resources that you're needing? There's some discernment that's invited here. 11s or Elvins. I never know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Fearless. And we've got the yellow. So the yellow is the solar plexus chakra. This is our identity, mastery, personal power, co-creation, ego, boundaries, transformational energy. Yeah, fearless makes a lot of sense with that. Hunger. Yeah, he does look hungry. He looks skinny. I didn't know a bird could look skinny, but he looks really, really skinny. And stuff hanging off of him. Heroism. So you've got a lot of that orange energy. The sacral chakra, the ocean of emotion, where our passion lies, sexuality, sensuality. The things that drive us. Disintegration. You've got nothing but the grays, the blacks, and the whites here. Things that are disintegrating, dissolving. Forethought. Thinking ahead. And what have you got? You've got the purple and the blue. Throat chakra, finding your truth, speaking your truth, learning to communicate it in a creative way. The purple, the intuition, the psychic realm, the vision, the overarching vision that we have for our lives, the esoteric wisdom and knowledge. So definitely this is a deck that I feel would really speak to a Piscean heart, because it really expresses and embodies their ability to kind of go in and get whatever it is that is required and whatever it is that is needed, but also reflects on the fact that, yeah, sometimes they can go so deep that they get lost. They need help to come back. And so there's a psychology there in regards to that too. Yeah, so that is the Wisdom of the Raven Oracle deck. I also have a tarot deck that is a great companion deck to this as well. And I would definitely say that would be a good Piscean deck as well. All right, guys. So that is our Divinely Decked for this week. As always, sending you guys so much love and support. I really enjoyed sharing this with you. For all of those Pisces out there, and for those who have a Pisces in their life that they love. Great news. I have been on YouTube for 11 years now, and it has been a long time in coming, but I now have the ability to offer memberships. So please feel free to click the join button to check out the different options that I have. Become one of my fabulous phoenixes, and let's keep the conversation going and go a little deeper into that connection. Would love to be of service to you in that way, or any other way that you feel would benefit you. Until we see you for another episode of Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life, I'm sending you lots of love and support. We'll see you on the flip side, and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.